The 2016 Equinox Super Scootchie.
Welcome to Stargazers. I'm Dean Regas, astronomer from the Cincinnati Observatory.
And I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida. We have two exciting astronomical events happening next week, and one not so exciting.
That's right, James. This coming Sunday morning, March 20th, 12:31 a.m., is the vernal equinox, the official beginning of spring in the northern hemisphere. And this coming Monday, March 21st, we get to experience a super Scootchie between the moon and the planet Jupiter.
The third event is a lunar eclipse, but it's not a spectacular blood moon eclipse like the ones we've been experiencing the past 2 years. This one is what we call a penumbral lunar eclipse, and it isn't nearly as exciting.
What are we talking about? Let's show you.
So what does the term vernal equinox really mean? Let's not forget that the first day of spring is really an astronomical event, which marks one of the 2 days of the year when our sun is smack dab on the celestial equator. The other day being the first day of autumn. When this happens in September, we call it the autumnal equinox, and when it happens in March, we call it the vernal equinox.
Most people today don't keep track of the sun and its movements throughout the seasons like our ancestors did. But it's a lot of fun to watch the sun change its place on the horizon every day from equinox to equinox.
Starting next week, if you make a note of where the sun rises and sets on the horizon each day, using landmarks like trees or buildings, you'll notice that the sun will rise just a little bit farther north of east each day and will set a little bit farther north of west each day.
The sun will continue moving northward week after week until June 21st, the first day of summer, when it will rise its farthest north of east and set its farthest north of west.
Now, if watching the sun rise due east and set due west wasn't excitement enough, check out the moon the night of Monday, March 21st. Okay, we have our skies set up for Monday night, March 21st at 9:30 p.m., your local time, facing east. High in the east, you'll see a pattern of stars that resembles a backwards question mark. This marks the head of Leo the lion. Below that, you'll see a triangle of stars that marks his tail.
Just to the right of this triangle is a sight that'll be hard to miss, the close pairing of the waxing gibbous moon and the giant planet Jupiter. Cue the music.
We call a close pairing of two or more celestial objects a conjunction. And in this particular conjunction of the moon and Jupiter, the two objects are approximately 2.5 degrees or 5 full moon widths apart.
Okay, the third astronomical event happening next week is what we like to call a non-event. But as astronomers and communicators of science, we would be remiss if not mentioning it.
Remember how in 2014 and 2015 we had 4 total lunar eclipses back to back? Well, the moon will be passing through Earth's shadow again on the morning of Wednesday, March 23rd, but this time only through the penumbra.
Unfortunately, when the moon passes only through the penumbra, you barely notice anything happening. What are we talking about? Let's show you.
Here's how eclipses work. Celestial bodies cast 2 shadows, a darker inner shadow called the umbra, and a lighter outer shadow called the penumbra. The moon's position with respect to these shadows will determine the type of eclipse you can see.
First, the moon must be in the full phase, putting the Earth between the sun and the moon. The moon's orbit is tilted by about 5 degrees with respect to the Earth's orbit around the sun, so the alignment isn't always perfect. Most months, the moon misses both shadows completely.
Unfortunately, the moon will only pass through the Earth's penumbra this time around, so we'll only see a slight dimming of the moon, which peaks at about 7:47 Eastern Daylight Time after the moon sets for those of us on the east coast of the U.S.
But for those of you who live on the west coast, the moon will be visible during the peak of this eclipse, which again is almost unnoticeable even to the most experienced moon watcher.
So instead, check out the Super Scootchie between Jupiter and the moon on March 21st.
And happy vernal equinox.
Keep looking up.